Let me ask you something. What if everything you believe about yourself, your free will, your choices, your very identity is basically just an illusion? There was this mystic, a pretty intense thinker named G.I. Gurdjieff, who looked at all of us and saw something shocking. He didn't see free individuals. He saw machines. So, let's get personal for a second. Are you really in the driver's seat of your own life? I mean, do you actually choose the thoughts that pop into your head or the feelings that suddenly take you over? Or is it possible something else is pulling the strings? Well, Gurdjieff's answer to that is deeply unsettling. And that quote right there, that's the heart of it. That's the core of George Ivanovich Gurdjieff's entire teaching. He wasn't just being poetic. He meant it literally. Our thoughts, our feelings, our actions, they're all just mechanical reactions to things happening around us. We think we're driving, but really we're just being driven. And that's the radical idea we're going to unpack today. So what does it even mean to be a machine that's asleep? Well, for Gurdjieff, it all starts with a pretty tough pill to swallow, realizing we are not the single unified person we imagine ourselves to be, not even close. You know this is true. Think about it. The I that confidently promises to wake up at 5 a.m. to go to the gym is definitely not the same I that hits the snooze button 5 times. The I that decides to be calm and patient gets completely hijacked by an angry I when someone cuts you off in traffic. Gurdjieff says we're packed with hundreds of these little contradictory I's, and each one grabs the steering wheel for a minute before another one shoves it aside. There's nobody in charge. It's just chaos. So what we have here is this giant fundamental clash. On one hand, there's our perception of ourselves. You know, that we're conscious, we're in control, we're the crown of creation. But Gurdjieff's view, it's that we are just automatons living in a state he called waking sleep. We're going through all the motions of life, working, talking, loving, but we're completely unaware of our own mechanical nature. We think we're awake, but really we're dreaming our lives away. Okay, so who was this guy? Who was the man who came up with such a radical and, let's be honest, kind of unflattering view of humanity? Well, his ideas weren't just theories he cooked up in a library. They were the result of a life spent on a long, hard search for truth. Gurdjieff's life was basically an adventure story. He was born into this world of colliding cultures and then spent 20 years traveling to some of the most remote parts of the world, Central Asia, the Middle East, looking for ancient wisdom. He was convinced that a real, practical knowledge about human consciousness existed, but that it was hidden, scattered. After fleeing the Russian Revolution, he brought what he'd found to the West and dedicated the rest of his life to teaching the system, which he simply called the work. Now, to help us really see our mechanical state, Gurdjieff used this incredible analogy. He taught that inside each of us, we aren't just one being. We're actually 3, and they're all working in complete and total disharmony. This analogy, it's the key to his entire system, so really try to picture it. Imagine you are a horse-drawn carriage. Each part of this setup represents a fundamental piece of your inner world, what Gurdjieff called your 3 brains or your 3 centers. Okay, first up, we have the carriage itself. This is your physical body. It's the machine. It's got its own habits, its own automatic ways of sitting and standing, its own tensions. And, just like any machine, if you don't take care of it or if you only ever drive it down the same old smooth road, its parts get rusty and creaky. It can break down the moment it faces a real challenge. Now, who's pulling this carriage? The horse. The horse represents our feelings and emotions. It's the engine of our whole being. It's where all our energy and our motivation comes from. But here's the problem. If it's not trained, it's totally wild. It just follows its every impulse, pulling towards whatever it licks and shying away from whatever it dislikes, with zero thought for the actual destination. And finally, sitting up on the box, holding the reins, that's the driver. This is our thinking mind, our intellect. The driver's been to school, right? He can read the map, he theoretically knows where the carriage is supposed to go. But he's got one massive problem. He has absolutely no control over that powerful, unruly horse. He can sit there and shout orders all day long, but the horse doesn't speak his language. And this quote just hits the nail on the head. It perfectly shows the disconnect. Our mind, the driver, is educated, but our emotional center, the horse, is primitive. It's raw. So we sit there thinking we're making some deep logical choice, but most of the time, it's just the horse steering us with the simple reins of, I like this and I don't like that. And this brings us to the most important question of all. If we're just this clunky, disconnected team of a carriage, a horse, and a driver all pulling in different directions, who is this whole setup for? Where is the passenger, the master who is supposed to be inside the carriage giving the orders? And the answer, according to Gurdjieff, is, well, there isn't one. In an ordinary person, the carriage is empty. So if that's the diagnosis, that we're asleep, we're mechanical, and the carriage is empty, is that it? Are we just doomed? Well, according to Gurdjieff, no, there is hope. But you're not going to find it in a belief or some philosophy you read in a book. You find it in active, conscious work on yourself. This is a very active path. It all starts with really rigorous self-observation, just watching this inner machine of yours without judging it. Then comes something he called conscious suffering. It sounds grim, but it just means intentionally creating friction, going against your comfortable habits. The whole point is to finally separate yourself from the machine, to realize, wait a minute, I am not my anger, I am not my thoughts, and from that place, you can finally start to educate that wild horse. And this work helps you see a crucial difference inside yourself. What we normally call our personality, that's the driver with all his opinions and book learning. Gurdjieff says that's just an artificial mask we've built up. Our essence, on the other hand, that's our true, inborn nature. That's the horse. Gurdjieff taught that for your real self, your essence to grow up, the artificial personality has to learn its proper place. It needs to be a servant, not the master. So what's the point of all this incredibly difficult work? It's not just about becoming a better person or being more productive. No, the ultimate goal is way bigger. It's about creating something permanent, something real. And here, Gurdjieff just flips one of our most basic religious ideas completely on its head. He claimed we are not born with immortal souls. A soul, in his system, is a luxury. It's something that has to be built, forged through conscious labor and intentional suffering. It is a potential that we all have, but it is absolutely not a guarantee.
The process he described sounds almost like alchemy. By doing the work, a person generates and collects these really fine energies or substances within themselves. And if enough of this substance is created, it can actually crystallize. It can form a second, higher body inside the physical one. This is the real unified I. This is the master. And this is the being who can truly do, and who isn't just destroyed when the physical machine dies.
And only this kind of being, someone who has forged a real I, can be truly moral. Think about it. For a machine, morality is just following rules or reacting based on its programming. But objective morality, Gurdjieff said, is the ability to see what is right and then have the power to actually do it, totally free from your own inner impulses or any external pressure. Now, Gurdjieff's teaching is not some comfortable, feel-good self-help system. Not at all. It is a stark, difficult challenge, and it's one that comes with real risks and demands an incredible amount of effort. This saying just captures the danger of this path perfectly. It's one thing to be a machine, completely asleep and content in your ignorance. You're blessed. It's another thing to have a fully formed soul. You're also blessed. But to start this process and then fail, to get caught in the middle with a soul only half formed, that, he says, is a state of real woe and grief. And so we're going to end with this question, a question Gurdjieff aimed at anyone who feels drawn to this kind of work. It's so easy to dream of finding a teacher, a guide who has all the answers. But the real question isn't about the guide. The real question is about you. Have you done the work to even see your own mechanical nature, your own nothingness? Are you truly prepared to pay the price for real change? In other words, are you worthy?